Heart failure starts with this common breakfast mistake. What if I told you your heart could be silently weakening? Not because of genetics, not because of age, but because of your breakfast every single morning. Millions of older adults unknowingly start their day with foods that look harmless: toast, juice, coffee, but slowly drain the strength from their most vital organ. No chest pain, no warning, just fatigue, shortness of breath, a heart working harder than it should. Hi, I'm here today because I've seen far too many good people parents, grandparents, neighbors end up in the ER not from one big mistake, but from small, repeated choices at the breakfast table. That's why I made this video for you. In the next few minutes, we're going to uncover the 7 most common breakfast mistakes silently damaging senior hearts across America. These aren't rare or extreme, they're normal, daily habits. But with the right knowledge and a few smart swaps, you can protect your heart, restore your energy, and even reverse some of the damage. So grab a seat, maybe a warm cup of tea, and stay with me till the end. And if you find this helpful, consider subscribing, because every week we bring you heart-smart tips designed for seniors who want to live fully, live freely, and live long. Part 1. The Quick Breakfast Trap: How Sugar and Speed Damage the Aging Heart. It starts innocently enough. You wake up a little late, grab a muffin or a bowl of cereal, maybe pour a glass of orange juice, and you're out the door. It feels like fuel. It feels fast. But what it's actually doing is quietly destabilizing your blood sugar, stressing your arteries, and over time, exhausting your heart. This is what I call the quick breakfast trap, a pattern where convenience disguises itself as health. The issue isn't just about eating sugar. It's about eating refined carbs without fiber, things like white toast, pancakes, processed cereal, and bottled juices. These spike your blood sugar almost instantly. When your blood sugar spikes and crashes like a roller coaster, your body scrambles to respond. Insulin surges, inflammation rises, and your triglycerides, those dangerous fats that thicken blood, begin to climb. According to the CDC, over 1 in 3 adults over 60 in the U.S. already has high triglycerides, a key driver of heart disease. Over time, this creates a storm inside your arteries. The lining gets damaged, plaque builds up, and without even realizing it, your heart is being forced to work harder to pump through narrowed vessels. The result: early signs like fatigue, dizziness, or feeling short of breath after simple tasks, especially in the morning. And the saddest part is many seniors think they're doing the healthy thing. They reach for fruit juice instead of soda. They pick cereal labeled whole grain. But without fiber to slow the absorption of sugar, those healthy choices turn into metabolic stress. So what's the solution? It's not complicated. A heart-friendly breakfast includes whole foods, healthy fats, fiber, and protein. Think of steel-cut oats topped with berries and a spoon of flaxseed, or a boiled egg with half an avocado on rye toast. These choices release energy slowly, reduce inflammation, and support steady blood flow. The good news is your heart remembers healing. With a few changes starting at breakfast, you can take the pressure off and let your cardiovascular system recover. In the next section, we'll look at something even more dangerous than sugary breakfast foods: skipping breakfast altogether. Because no food can sometimes be worse than the wrong food. Part 2. Skipping breakfast: When nothing becomes a hidden threat. If starting the day with too much sugar can overload your heart, what about starting with nothing at all? For many seniors, skipping breakfast has become a routine, sometimes out of habit, sometimes out of the belief that it might help with weight control. I'm not really hungry in the morning, or it saves calories, they say. But what feels like a harmless skip can actually be a metabolic shock to an aging heart. When you go too long without food after waking up, your body activates a stress response. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, rises sharply to compensate for the lack of incoming energy. While this reaction is normal in small amounts, repeated high cortisol levels can cause serious damage: elevated blood pressure, increased inflammation in your blood vessels, and disruption of insulin regulation. According to a study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, People who regularly skip breakfast have a 33% higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those who eat breakfast daily. That's not a small number. That's 1 in 3. Skipping breakfast can also increase cravings later in the day, making you more likely to reach for unhealthy snacks or overeat at dinner. This cycle of energy highs and crashes taxes your heart further, forcing it to manage sudden spikes in blood sugar and blood pressure. Seniors are especially vulnerable because the natural hormonal flexibility the body once had in younger years diminishes over time. What you could once get away with in your 30s or 40s now has steeper consequences. For a heart that's already aging, skipping fuel in the morning is like asking a tired car engine to drive uphill on an empty tank. So what should you do if you're not hungry in the morning? Start small, gentle, and consistent. Try half a banana with a tablespoon of almond butter, or a small bowl of oatmeal with cinnamon and chia seeds. You're not eating for fullness, you're eating to stabilize your system and nourish your heart. Skipping breakfast isn't just about skipping calories, it's about skipping protection. You don't need a feast, you just need fuel. In the next section, we'll take a closer look at one of the most common morning habits that feels comforting, but actually loads your arteries with silent threats: reheating leftovers. What's quick for your schedule might be quietly dangerous for your heart. Part 3. Reheating greasy leftovers. When convenience becomes a cardiovascular burden. We've seen how skipping breakfast can shock your system, but what about when you do eat, and it's something quick, leftover, and greasy? For many seniors, yesterday's dinner becomes today's breakfast. A few cold fries tossed in the microwave, half a sausage sandwich reheated, maybe a slice of pizza from the night before. It's easy, it's fast, it feels resourceful, but it's also quietly toxic to your heart. When fried foods are reheated, especially those cooked in unstable vegetable oils, they undergo a chemical transformation. These oils oxidize, producing harmful compounds known as lipid peroxides. According to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, regular consumption of oxidized fats contributes significantly to endothelial dysfunction, a fancy term for damaged blood vessels. That damage matters because your arteries are lined with a delicate layer of cells that regulate blood flow and pressure. When that lining breaks down, plaque builds up faster, blood flow becomes restricted, and your heart, already working harder with age, is pushed into overdrive. It doesn't stop there. Leftover fast food is also packed with trans fats and excess sodium. Trans fats raise LDL, bad cholesterol, and lower HDL, good cholesterol, increasing your risk of heart failure. Sodium, meanwhile, causes fluid retention, bloating, and elevated blood pressure, all of which place a heavy load on the aging heart. In a study published by the Journal of the American Heart Association, seniors who consumed high-sodium breakfast just 3 times a week had significantly higher risks of left ventricular hypertrophy, a condition where the heart muscle thickens to compensate for chronic stress. And once that happens, the heart becomes less efficient, leading to fatigue, shortness of breath, and increased hospitalization rates. But here's the emotional truth: many older adults resort to leftovers, not because they don't care, but because they're tired, they live alone, or they're afraid of wasting food. That's real, and it matters. But your heart deserves better than secondhand grease. It deserves intention, not convenience. So what can replace reheated junk? It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. Try a slice of whole grain toast topped with smashed avocado and a sprinkle of sea salt, or warm up a bowl of oats with cinnamon and frozen berries. Even hard-boiled eggs prepared in advance can be a cleaner, heart-friendlier alternative to greasy leftovers. The bottom line is this: your breakfast doesn't need to be fancy, but it must be fresh, and it must be kind to your heart. Up next, we'll talk about another misunderstood habit, one that looks generous, but often leads to physical overload: the heavy and oversized breakfast. Because too much of even good food can quietly strain the heart beyond its limits. Part 4. Morning overeating, when hearty turns into harmful. After learning the dangers of greasy leftovers, you might decide to cook a fresh, hearty breakfast instead. Maybe a full plate of eggs, bacon, toast, and a side of pancakes. That sounds wholesome, doesn't it? But here's the hidden danger. Even healthy foods, when consumed in large portions right after waking up, can quietly overload your heart. During the night, your body goes into a natural fasting state. Your heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, and your digestion rests. When you suddenly flood your system in the morning with a heavy meal, especially one high in fat or refined carbs, it creates a metabolic shock. Research from the European Heart Journal shows that consuming a high-calorie breakfast over 700 calories significantly increases blood pressure and heart rate within just 30 minutes. For seniors or whose cardiovascular flexibility is reduced, this puts immense strain on the heart, especially if the body is already dealing with high blood pressure or cholesterol. Overeating in the morning doesn't just affect your heart in the short term, it also disrupts blood sugar control, leading to insulin spikes followed by energy crashes. These sudden shifts can trigger dizziness, post-meal fatigue, or even irregular heartbeat symptoms many seniors mistake for just aging. And there's an emotional layer too. Many older adults grew up in households where a big breakfast was a sign of health, love, or comfort. But what our bodies needed at 20 is not what they need at 70. A heavy plate today may not nourish you, it may burden you. Instead of volume, focus on balance. Start with a smaller portion that includes fiber, protein, and healthy fat. For example, one boiled egg, half a slice of whole grain toast with nut butter, and some berries can fuel your morning without flooding your system. If you feel hungry mid-morning, that's okay. Have a second small meal or snack. It's much better to split energy throughout the day than to overload your heart at once. Think of breakfast not as a feast but as a gentle awakening for your body and your arteries. Next, we'll explore one of the most commonly misunderstood morning habits, coffee on an empty stomach. It feels energizing, but it can quietly push your heart into overdrive, especially in seniors with underlying blood pressure issues. Part 5, Too Much Coffee on an Empty Stomach, the hidden jolt to a senior heart. After discussing the dangers of oversized breakfasts, let's now shift to the opposite extreme, a habit that seems light and innocent, but can be just as harmful: drinking coffee on an empty stomach. It's a ritual for many: wake up, skip food, go straight to a steaming cup of black coffee. For decades, seniors have trusted coffee to wake up the system, and to be fair, moderate coffee intake has shown benefits in multiple studies. But timing matters, especially when your stomach is empty and your heart is aging. Here's what happens inside your body. Within minutes of drinking coffee alone, your cortisol, the stress hormone, spikes. This response might feel like energy at first, but it also increases blood pressure, tightens arteries, and raises your heart rate. Over time, especially in older adults, these repeated surges wear down the cardiovascular system. In fact, a study published in Hypertension Research found that seniors who consumed coffee without food were significantly more likely to experience early morning hypertension, one of the strongest predictors of stroke and heart failure. Beyond blood pressure, there's another risk: arrhythmia. On an empty stomach, caffeine is absorbed more rapidly, which can lead to heart palpitations or irregular beats. Many older adults report feeling jittery, dizzy, or anxious after morning coffee, but brush it off as aging or stress. In truth, it's your heart asking for balance. The good news: you don't need to give up your coffee, but pairing it with the right foods can dramatically reduce its negative effects. A boiled egg, a slice of whole grain toast with almond butter, or Greek yogurt with a sprinkle of seeds can slow caffeine absorption and provide grounding fuel for your system. You can also time your coffee for mid-morning around 9 or 10 a.m. after your body's natural cortisol surge has already peaked. This approach reduces blood pressure risks and improves energy stability throughout the day. If you've been relying on coffee alone to start your morning, consider this your invitation to shift. Your heart isn't asking you to stop, it's asking you to support it. In the next section, we'll look at another common yet dangerous trap: foods that seem healthy but are loaded with salt. Instant breakfast items. They're convenient, but they often hide sodium levels that quietly increase your heart's workload with every spoonful. Part 6, Hidden Sodium in Instant Breakfast, the salty saboteur of senior hearts. After learning how coffee on an empty stomach can overstimulate your heart, let's now look at something more deceptive: foods that seem healthy but quietly flood your body with sodium. Instant breakfasts like prepackaged oats, flavored soups, canned beans, and even protein bars are often packed with salt far beyond what your heart can safely handle. For seniors, this is especially dangerous. As we age, our kidneys lose efficiency in filtering out excess sodium. That means even modest amounts of salt can lead to fluid retention, swollen ankles, elevated blood pressure, and a heavier workload for the heart. You may not even taste the salt. Instant foods are often designed to be sweet, spicy, or savory, but hidden behind those flavors are sodium levels that can reach shocking heights. According to the American Heart Association, many single-serving healthy breakfast items contain over 600 and 800 milliliters of sodium, nearly half the recommended daily intake for seniors in just one meal. Consuming this much sodium regularly stiffens blood vessels, increases arterial plaque, and weakens heart muscles over time. A study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that reducing daily sodium intake by just 1,000 wasms could prevent up to 50,000 heart-related deaths annually in the U.S. The problem isn't just processed meats like bacon and ham anymore. Now, even that low-sugar granola bar or quick microwave bowl of oats may be silently sabotaging your heart. If your breakfast comes from a box or a pouch, take a moment to read the label. You might be surprised. And the signs of sodium overload don't always show up in blood tests. They show up in your life when your shoes feel tighter, when your legs feel heavier, when walking upstairs leaves you short of breath. These are not just aging, these are warning signs. So what's the fix? First, aim for breakfasts that include fresh or minimally processed ingredients. Make your own oatmeal with plain rolled oats and flavor it with cinnamon, berries, or unsalted nuts. If you enjoy savory meals, try eggs with sautéed vegetables and herbs instead of canned soups or salty mixes. If you must use packaged products, choose low sodium or no added salt versions, and stay under 400 milliliters of sodium per meal whenever possible. Your heart will thank you with more energy, steadier blood pressure, and fewer episodes of bloating or fatigue. Up next, we'll discuss one of the biggest hidden threats in traditional breakfasts: processed meats. Bacon, sausage, deli ham. They're delicious, but they're also loaded with fats and preservatives that directly assault your arteries. Let's uncover how they quietly erode heart health, especially after 60. Part 7, Processed Meats, the breakfast favorite that clogs the arteries. They taste familiar: bacon, sausage, deli ham, staples of the classic American breakfast. But for seniors, these processed meats carry a hidden cost: daily damage to the heart. These meats are loaded with saturated fat, sodium, and preservatives like nitrates. When digested, these additives form compounds that inflame blood vessels and encourage plaque buildup in arteries. Over time, this narrows blood flow and makes the heart work harder. According to a study in Circulation, eating just one serving of processed meat per day is linked to a 42% higher risk of heart disease. The combination of salt and fat increases blood pressure and causes fluid retention, two major burdens for an aging heart. For many older adults, these foods are tied to memories. A crisp slice of bacon feels comforting, but nostalgia shouldn't outweigh health. What energized you at 30 may weaken you at 70. The good news: healthier swaps exist. Try boiled eggs, unsalted nuts, or even plant-based sausages. They offer protein without the inflammation and artery strain. You don't have to quit your favorite foods overnight. Start by replacing processed meats just a few days a week. Your heart will notice and thank you. In the next section, we'll explore how sugary cereals, though marketed as healthy, can quietly flood your system with sugar and inflame your heart from the inside out. Part 8, Sugary Cereals, Sweet Taste, Silent Inflammation. We've tackled salt, fat, and preservatives, but sugar may be the most underestimated threat of all. especially in cereals marketed to older adults as wholesome, fiber-rich, or fortified. The truth is, many breakfast cereals contain 12 to 30 grams of sugar per serving, equal to or more than a can of soda. And because they're eaten first thing in the morning, they flood the bloodstream when your body is most sensitive to glucose. This sugar rush triggers a spike in insulin, followed by a crash that leaves you tired, foggy, and craving more sugar. Over time, it increases triglycerides, promotes belly fat, and inflames blood vessels, three key drivers of heart disease. A study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that adults who got more than 25% of their daily calories from added sugar had a 2.75 times higher risk of dying from heart disease than those who limited sugar intake. What's worse, labels can be misleading. Even cereals with labels like low-fat or heart-healthy often rely on added sugar to boost flavor. Read the ingredients list if sugar is one of the first three. It's likely doing more harm than good. The fix-swap sugary cereals for oats, chia pudding, or plain muesli topped with fruit. These options support steady blood sugar and protect your arteries. Next, we'll end with a habit that many think saves time and calories, but may be the most dangerous of all: skipping breakfast entirely. Part 9, Skipping Breakfast, the final silent killer. Of all the habits we've covered, skipping breakfast might be the most dangerous because it feels harmless. You're busy, you're not hungry, you think, maybe it helps with weight, but skipping the first meal doesn't save your heart, it strains it. When you skip breakfast, your body shifts into stress mode, cortisol spikes, blood pressure rises, insulin sensitivity drops, and your heart, especially in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, feels the impact. One major study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that people who regularly skip breakfast had a 33% higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. Not eating may feel like control, but it can invite chaos inside your arteries. Skipping breakfast also leads to poor choices later. You may snack on salty or sugary foods to catch up, causing more blood sugar spikes and inflammation. Over time, this erratic pattern increases the risk of high blood pressure, obesity, and even stroke. The fix isn't a big breakfast, it's a consistent one. Even a small bowl of oats, a banana with almond butter, or yogurt with seeds can give your heart the fuel it needs. You don't need to be hungry. You just need to be kind to your heart. In the conclusion, we'll pull all these lessons together and leave you with one empowering truth: it's never too late to eat for your heart. Your heart beats over 100,000 times a day. It doesn't rest. It doesn't complain. It simply asks you for one thing: support. And one of the most powerful ways to offer that support starts every morning on your plate. We've walked through the silent risks: sugary cereals, salty instant meals, greasy leftovers, coffee without food, skipped breakfasts. None of them scream danger. But over time, they build a quiet pressure. They chip away at your arteries. They exhaust your heart muscle. The good news: you don't need perfection. You don't need a diet book. You just need small, steady changes. Eat a little earlier. Swap sugar for fiber. Replace sodium with real flavor. Treat your breakfast like the medicine it truly is. Your age does not define your future. Your habits do. And when you choose foods that love your heart back, you begin to rewrite what aging looks like for yourself, for your family, for your future. So today, I invite you to choose differently. Not with fear, but with confidence, because now you know better. If this video helped you, let us know in the comments what's one breakfast change you'll make starting tomorrow. And don't forget to subscribe, so each week you can learn one new, powerful habit to support your heart and your health. Thank you for watching. Take care of your mornings and your heart will take care of the rest.